Hi, hi everyone. In this video, we are interested in finding the amplitude of sinusoidal functions from graphs. Okay, in the previous video, we found the midlines, correct? But we also we already began to speak about the amplitude. And as we said, the amplitude is the distance from the midline to the maximum or the minimum. Okay, so if we imagine that there is a horizontal line halfway between the maximum and the minimum somewhere, right? And I'm not sure exactly where, I'd have to do the math. Then the amplitude is the distance from that midline to the maximum, which would then be equal to the distance from the midline to the minimum. Okay, so either way, they're going to be the same. Now, how are we going to find this amplitude? Well, if we just want to see the distance, right? The distance from the midline to the max or the min, what we can do is just find the total distance from the max to the min, correct? The total horizontal distance from max to min, and then take half of that. So if we find the total distance here, well, let's find it. Let's copy the points. It's 1/4 pi. It's 1/4 pi. And I believe it said negative 2.2, right? If I'm not mistaken, that's the max. Let's just check. Yes. And the minimum is 3/4 pi, negative 8.5. 3/4 pi and negative 8.5. There's your min. Okay. So what would be the total distance? What would be the total distance, the total vertical distance from negative 2.2 to negative 8.5? Well, we have to just do a little subtraction, correct? If we want to find total distance. So it would be negative 2.2 minus negative, oops, I don't know why it went back here. Let me try to get it back. Okay, sorry guys. So it's negative 2.2 minus negative 8.5. Well, keep change says this has to be positive here and here. So we're looking at, what is it? Is it going to be 6.3, I believe? Okay, 6.3. That is the total vertical distance from the maximum to the minimum. That's the distance. This distance right here is 6.3. Well, if that's the total distance between those two y coordinates, what's half of that? Well, half of 6.3 would just be what, 3.15? Okay, that is half the distance. This is the total, right? Vertical distance. Vertical distance, right? Total vertical distance. This is half the vertical distance because you just take half of 6.3. So that should be our amplitude. Okay, that should be our amplitude. Let's check. So 3.15. And that is correct. Okay, let's do another one. Again, here we are given a point on the midline. All right, we're given a point on the midline right here, and we're given a minimum value. They're asking us what is the amplitude. So this is even easier because they give us the midline, right? So it's this distance right here. It's the vertical distance from the midline to the minimum, which means we would have to find the distance from 1.2 to negative 3.4. So 1.2, so 1.2 to negative 3.4 is you subtract negative 3.4, right? So what is the distance from 1.2 to negative 3.4? You have to subtract that to get the distance. Again, this is going to be plus plus because it's keep, change, change. So the total distance, it looks like it's going to be 4.6, correct? So let's go up here and check. 4.6. 4.6. And I'm going to check that is correct. Okay. Let's do another one. Here, okay, we're given a maximum point and we're given a minimum point. So again, we have to subtract the y coordinates to get the total distance and then take half of that. So it's going to be negative 1.2 minus negative 9.8. So it's going to be negative 1.2 minus negative 9.8. Again, keep change. So this comes out to 8.6, I believe. That's the total vertical distance, right? And then take half of that. So 8.6 divided by 2 is equal to 4.3. And there's your amplitude. So let's plug that in. 4.3. 4.3. Okay, and one more. Here we're given a maximum point, and we're given a point on the midline, again, which is nice. So again, the vertical distance from this midline to the maximum point is our amplitude. So it's going to be what? 3.8 minus negative 3.8. So 3.8 minus, let's find some empty space. 3.8 minus, sorry, okay, 3.8, use the eraser here, minus negative 3.8. So keep change. So that's going to come out to 7.6. Okay, and that is the final answer. Why? Because this point is the maximum y value, and this is the midline y value, right? So we don't have to divide this by 2 because this is already just the distance from the maximum to the midline, 7.6. Let's type that in, make sure we're correct. So 7.6, and we are correct. Okay, guys? All right, take care.